In the animal kingdom, the beasts of prey, when lock on a particular animal to be hunted, they go all out in order to do so. America is that animal who hunts for nothing but oil, and its latest prey is none other than Nigeria. Hi and welcome to TFI Global Africa, TFI Global's channel especially dedicated to the cradle of humanity. I'm your host, Atul Mishra. Let's begin with the video report. The US and UK have issued a warning stating that Nigeria is on the target of terrorists. Both countries told their citizens to avoid any non-essential travel to the nation. Their designated places like shopping malls, places of worship, schools, restaurants, and international organizations, etc. as the potential targets. However, no credible source or intelligence was provided by the US and the UK to corroborate their claims. There have been several security problems in Nigeria. In fact, there was a prison break in July in which about 400 prisoners escaped from jail. An Islamist group took responsibility for the jailbreak. Now, Nigeria is one of the largest nations in Africa in terms of resources, economy, population, and landmass. It is one of the largest oil producers in the continent, has a vast reserve of lithium, a population of 180 million, has a well-connected rail system, is the first country in Africa which employs technology in stock exchange, and is building a 6,000-kilometer gas pipeline project with Morocco. Strategically too, Nigeria is a very important nation in Africa. In the wake of Russia's military action in Ukraine and resulting sanctions imposed by the US and Europe, the West is looking for alternate sources of oil and gas. One of the alternate sources is Nigeria, as it is one of the biggest oil producers in Africa. The US and Europe are making numerous attempts to get their hands on Nigerian oil. Now, we at TFI Global explained that how since the Russia-Ukraine conflict, oil theft has increased manifold and additionally is being committed in Nigeria by multinational oil companies. The Nigerian Navy uncovered crude oil flowing from an oil head, and the response of the company which owned it upon being informed of the spill was suspicious and pointed to a nexus being run by these corporations on the orders of their masters in the West. Mele Kyari, the director of the Nigerian National Petroleum Company, stated that about 600,000 barrels of oil or more are being stolen per day. Nigeria slipped from first place to fourth place among oil exporting nations. And for the first time since 1990, oil production of Nigeria dropped below 1 million barrels per day. The Nigerian government is very concerned about this development. It announced that it will launch an operation to stop the rampant theft of its oil and will use helicopters, aircraft, and armored vehicles for this purpose. Now, when it comes to clean energy technology, the US aspires to become an expert in this field. It is actively taking part in developing its renewable energy sector, and one of the aspects is the electric vehicle industry. Recently, Nigeria's Minister of Mines and Steam Development, Olamilekan Adebayo, rejected the proposal of the world's richest man, Elon Musk. Tesla offered to mine lithium in Nigeria, which he turned down. Instead, Adebayo asked Tesla to set up a battery industry in Nigeria, but he refused. Adebayo is aware of the criminal activities of these Western multinational companies which leave no stone unturned in extracting as much profit as possible from poor people in Africa and Asia. Adebayo knows that allowing an American MNC into his country would result in violation of the rights and freedom of Nigerian people and expose his country's resources to theft. For a very long time, the US has been trying to gain control of Nigeria's resources. The entire purpose of the AFRICOM is to make sure that the US government's plan to establish its dominance over the wealth and resources of African countries are successful. The whole point of US involvement in Africa is not to attain peace, assist in the quest to become a democracy or safeguard the rights of people, but to plunder its rich resources like gold, oil, gas, uranium, copper, bauxite, diamond, iron ore, etc. Nigeria is one of the richest and largest countries in Africa. Now, we explained how Boko Haram is an offshoot of the CIA. One of the most infamous strategies of the US is to deliberately create trouble in other countries and then suggest its solution. The US did this in Afghanistan, which even Hillary Clinton admitted. She publicly acknowledged her role in providing funds and weapons to the Taliban to counter Russian influence and secure freedom for Afghans. However, today, the same Taliban is brutalizing civilians and ravaging a once thriving nation. The US is doing everything in its power to capture Africa's resources. In countries like Ethiopia, Biden and his allies are actively providing funds and arms to the TPLF to establish their control over the entire Horn of Africa region, which has rich deposits of petroleum, natural gas, hydropower, potash, salt, etc. In light of these facts and circumstances, as the US was not successful in establishing its control over Nigeria's resources, therefore it has decided